and really taking people for who they are now. Because I've seen it. I've seen it with a lot of people. Like, and that list is very long. But I'm not gonna focus on the negative. I'm gonna be supportive. I'm gonna appreciate who the people are, and forgive myself first of all for putting myself even in those positions to begin with. All right. So when it goes back to, I was gonna ask you a question. It's like, today, if I ask you what are some of the things that you love, how long would it take until you name yourself first, right?
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stayed grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential. Yeah, like what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.
What's good? How
What's
you
good,
doing, man?
I'm doing all right. It's a beautiful day out. I'm chilling.
That's it.
That's it. That's really all I got for you today, sir.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and roll right into things. Since you want to leave us with a dry intro of like how you doing, like, bro, come on now. The
How
people
was
want
your
to
week?
hear.
How was your week, bro?
My week is good, man. I have nothing to complain about. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm rolling into doing some new things. So it's looking good. It's looking bright. Although it may not be bright for everybody, it's looking good and it's looking bright. Yeah.
What
May
new
not be
things are
bright
you
and good for
talking about?
everybody.
You gonna give
You'll
us some
see, man.
insight
You'll see.
on these new things that you're working on?
Actually, before we get started, one of them is this right here. So this is in the
Yeah.
works right now as we speak. This is one of our partners that we'll be partnering up with, and launch you guys some great candles that you guys can go ahead and smell. It's in the testing phase, so don't mind the way that it looks now. Of course, you got to test things before you put it out into the market. So stay tuned for that. That's one of the things I could definitely, I'll say.
Are you actually hands-on doing this, or you delegated that to somebody to kind of put the thing together?
I would say delegated 25% there, and 75% is delegated to the person that is a perfection. If you guys don't know, Radiant Lights is the person that will be partnering up and will be helping us put this out there for you guys. And the whole idea behind it is just to give you guys something that you guys can relax with us as well. We use this, at least myself, Francis, I don't know, you can speak for yourself, but I use this a lot to just kind of light it up and get a good scent to relax at the same time. So it helps me do that, and I want to be able to help you guys that are listening to be able to do the same.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what's coming. So stay tuned for that. But enough about the announcements. Of course, and just before I get started, and don't shame me for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave us those reviews, do all that good stuff, so that we don't get left behind. Come on, look at you. Hey, he's a hater. Guys, I want you guys to remember that throughout this entire episode, all right? But yes, let's go ahead. That's good. Enough of all this nonsense here. Episode 52.
Yeah.
We're doing this, man. It's another one, man. What you got for us?
Do you have any feedback from the previous one? I think before we even jump into this one, you kind of, look back at what we talked about on the previous one, because this is a follow-up to that, right? In a way, controlling your emotion and jumping into this topic that I'm trying to talk about today, which is respecting your uniqueness and kind of practicing self-love. And really, it's the reason why I came up with this topic is because I was thinking about the last episode we did, like what makes you unique. And since we did that episode, and now a lot of things have changed in my own personal life, and a lot of stories, a lot of experience that I encountered last year, especially, after August, kind of really opened my eyes to really the meaning of behind that, what makes you unique, and how to really practice self-love, because I sat in a lot of room, listened to a lot of things that, I was laughing. I was laughing at a lot of it, but it's just like, you sit in these rooms, you're like, yo, if you only knew the story, half of the things that you say and projecting are just, it's not real. So I really want to get
Yeah.
into, talking about when, when you drifted out of at least caring about other people's perspective when it comes to your uniqueness.
When did I drift out of that?
Or like when you just
I don't.
stop caring, because I mean there was a point in time, growing up in high school, elementary school, you were put in a position where you had to do certain things to fit in, right? To have friends or even be around, a certain group of people. And at one point did you realize, hey, I no longer want to, adhere to these, I don't know, guidelines in a way, and kind of do my own thing and just be my own individual, right? If at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. First, I will say, for anybody that didn't listen to that episode, What Makes You Unique, episode 12, go and listen to that. It's probably by far one of my best episodes, I will say, hands down, just
I
because
still stand by my
it was a
answer too.
very eye-opening. Yeah. Oh, really?
I do.
Oh, you guys really got to listen to it at this point. Because that answer will not stay the same. It will definitely, his answer for sure will change, because again, it's part of it, but it doesn't describe the entire eternity of it. But to answer your question here, when did I not really care about other people's thoughts? I would say as early as middle school, man. Mine started at a really early age. I was following the crowds all throughout elementary school, and that got me in trouble a lot. And the moment I started realizing I was hurting people, not only myself, that's when I had to shift things, and that's what allowed me to kind of at a really early age just kind of separate myself from what everybody else was doing, and just kind of doing my own thing at that point. But I was at a really early age. I stopped following the crowds. I stopped caring and just doing my thing and what fit me.
Gotcha. And during that time, and we're talking not just, outside the house, even, within the house. So I'm sure there are certain things that were being told to you, and how do you carry your life in a way, what kind of degree you should be looking at going to school, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Ultimately you chose your own path, right? So what kind of helped you focus on that path of yours without really, taking other people's perspective and opinion to heart, and if that makes sense?
Well, I would say my household, it wasn't really
Yo.
like, it was just go to school.
Huh? Okay.
It was go to school and get an education. It wasn't really like, you must go to school for this, you must go to school for that. I think my mom did a phenomenal job with raising all her children. With what she did is she just allowed us all to fly, and to figure out what it is that we wanted to do. And that's essentially what it was. So I would say the person that really helped me most is my cousin. He just gave me exposure to other industries. That's what helped me get myself to understand what it is that I wanted to do. But even then, I still was figuring everything out, on a daily basis. But it was nothing really like, in my household, at least I could speak on, to say, hey, you must do that, or you must, do this in terms of in terms of what must I do in school. It was more so just, go to school, get a good education, stay out of trouble. Kind of what goes on in most family, in most households. But I can't really speak too much on, like, having to live by a certain standard. It was more or less just, being able to fly and be able to experience what it is that I needed to experience in order for me to live life. Yeah.
How did you handle, were you ever faced in a situation where, you go ahead and you do what you got to do, but there's some pushback from the people that you thought were on your side?
No, I mean, I didn't care. So even if there was, I looked right past it. So, I mean, I guess maybe the only time I could think of is when I wanted to get out of college, and my mom, gave me pushback on that.
Right.
But other than that, it was I didn't really care about what people thought. down to my siblings and my parents. Like it was Ronnie's show for a very long time. And I think that's what helps my stubbornness. Call it what you want, but it's one of those things that, I mean, at very early age, I was running my show for as long as I could, and still to this day, I'm still trying to run that show because I believe it's up to you. It's your journey. You write the script, you write the movie script, and you write the book, and you can't let anybody else do that for you in the end.
That's a belief that you have now, though. But I mean, it wasn't always the case, right?
Uh, I can argue that. I can argue that. I mean, very
Okay.
much so. Everything. Of course, I had help along the way,
Yeah.
but it was, again, my mother or my father wasn't the type to say you can't do that, you can't do this. And even if they were telling me that, I still found a way around it, as all kids do.
Yeah.
But it was never, again, it was never really a projection of you must do this. So, like, I didn't grow up in a really strict household,
Yeah.
which I think gave me that freelance and that guidance and that free to fly and to kind of experience the things that I experienced. But I don't know. In terms of pushback, even if it was pushback, I still found a way to do it.
The problem is not doing it. The problem is, still, it's not even a problem. It's just how do you address the boundaries that come from those people that care about you, and you come up to them and you're like, hey, I no longer, yes, you don't care. That's no, right? But you're on your path, you're on your journey, you're creating your own lane, and these people that care about you are, quote unquote, someone extra of your life, in a way where, let's say, an example where you say, your mother, you were talking about your mother. At some point, we all bump heads
At
with our
college,
parents, right?
at
So how,
college, I could definitely say is one of them. That's when we
right?
bumped heads. Even before that too, but that was just me being a troublemaker.
So how did you
But I
handle
would say,
that? Like just bumping head, with your parents, for example. We'll take that example, and
I mean, let's take the example of me bumping heads at college because I feel like that's more relevant rather than me being a young, stubborn child and not
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
Because my mother wants me to be in a better, behavior, a better situation. So college, of course, it was frustrating. To hear her say, "No, you're going to go to school." Like that's not. That's why I say it all the time, and I've said it in a previous episode. I didn't go to school for myself. I went to school because my mother wanted me to. And now that I'm done and I'm out the way, I got the documentation. You can have that. I'm moving on with my life now. But yeah, it was a very small bumping of heads, and I think the key thing was she said, "Well, hey, if you're not going to go to university, you're going to be in school." So that's kind of what I guess that it was a compromise, right? That her and I had to make. I was like, "Well, I don't want to go back," and she was like, "Well, if you're going to be in my house, you're going to go back." And it was a conversation that we had, and it was compromising essentially. Wasn't the best. So at that point I did the bare minimum. At all costs, but it wasn't anything where I would say, I guess she wants the best for anybody. I mean, any parent wants the best for them. But in
Right.
that case, she was looking out for my best interests, not so much of, what I was looking to do. But at the same time, I still at that point needed guidance. So I didn't really look at it as like, you don't care for me kind of thing. It was just more of, that's what she wanted.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would say.
That's
It wasn't I can't say it wasn't an argument of that nature. Like I know some individuals that, hey, they go and tell their parent, I'm not going to school, and then they go an
yeah.
entire fight and argument. I know Mr. Beast even talked about it himself. If you guys
I
haven't
was
heard
one
his
of those
story,
guys.
if you haven't heard Mr. Beast's story, then it's actually a unique one where it's like, the parents, you telling your parents, I'm not going to school, and then it's a whole fight. And that didn't happen in my household. And I would say it was more of a respect thing that I knew I had to do. Okay, when your parent tells you, you either get out my house or you go to school, then you kind of, at that point, I knew I didn't really have a choice because where else was I going to go at that point?
Well, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair. But it didn't.
let's hear your story, though. I mean,
Well, which one? Because I
which
have a lot of
one? Which one do you want to share?
because I have a lot of scenarios where I was put in position to. I care a lot of the people that are around me, and sometimes I let their perspective affect, how I move. And it's up until last year that I really looked around and I'm like, it's different when you really see somebody true colors, because I was put in, again, that's what I said early on, I was put in a situation where I'm like, if only you knew half of the things that you're saying, you will not be saying it. And a lot of rooms that I sat on, and I'm laughing with them too, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like, some people think that they know better about yourself than you do know about yourself. So that really opened my eyes, and I was like, you know what? Um, I'm gonna move different, right? And I've been moving different ever since. It's like, I really start to appreciate and really loving myself a lot more, because I was putting other people's first, a lot of situation. And I no longer want to go back to that. I mean, you can care and appreciate other people for the work that they do, right? And you're supposed to support others when they're doing something well. But I'm not gonna break my back for somebody that's not gonna, support me in the same way, right? The love is always there. The support is always there, but there's got to be a boundary. There's got to be a set of a limit to the madness, if I can say. So I've never been caught up in so much of the comparing myself with others, or trying to be better than others. It was more of, if we're gonna coexist and be, do something together, maybe I may have to bend my knee, or meet you at your level, and so we can, do something. I'm no longer willing to kind of get to that point where it damaged my own self-esteem and my own self-love, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
breaking out of that cycle, and really taking people for who they are now, because I've seen it with a lot of people, like, and that list is very long. But I'm not gonna focus on the negative. I'm gonna be supportive. I'm gonna appreciate who the people are, and forgive myself, first of all, for putting myself even in those positions to begin with. All right. So when it goes back to, I was gonna ask you a question. It's like, if I ask you what are some of the things that you love, how long would it take until you name yourself first, right? I was that guy where I'll have 30 to 40 things before I even put myself first. But now the number one priority is me, right? I have to take care of myself first and make sure that I'm in the position that makes sense for me. And then in that way, I can then pave the way for somebody else to do the same thing, right? My uniqueness will bring out the uniqueness in you. That's how we moving now. It's no longer of like, that's really the best way I can put it. I mean, one example I can say is like, even in terms of family, there's a lot of, negative things that were said about me in the past, and, of how I was moving, and the kind of my trajectory in life were kind of paid for me, right? Oh, if you don't do this, you're going to turn into this. If you don't, and blocking that noise wasn't the easiest. It's difficult because it's family, right? You want to make sure that, you're also there, for them. But at the same time, you don't want to be too caught up in that. And I was caught up in that mix. It's like, okay, I want to do this, but if I do this, I'm going to let this person down, and all this in this kind of scenario. So breaking out of that cycle is really, a trend now, really. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, for anybody, I think along your journey, I don't care where you are in life, whether you're at the top of the top, you're at the bottom of the bottom, you're still going to hurt somebody, because everybody has their own way of thinking of what's best for them. So even if, like, I mean, I haven't been home for Christmas in the past 3 years easily. That hurts me more than it probably hurts my family. But it's one of those events that we've spent it's every year. It was routine. It was a ritual for us. So me not being home for such a long period of time, it's hurting me. But at the end of the day, I know I have a goal. I know I have something that I have to do for myself.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me going on that, and not really saying, it's like, hey, I can't come home this year, sorry. And I just keep it pushing. I even had the aspect of people like, yeah, I'll pay for your plane ticket. It's like, no, I'm okay. I know exactly what I need to do. So it's comes to the point where I understand that I'm hurting someone. I may be hurting them. I don't know for sure. But I'm sure, just that present not being there, it's impacting somebody at some point. And if not, then hey, so be it. It's not hurting me, and I hope it doesn't hurt them, because again, it's the journey that I'm on, and just the mission that I'm on. It's greater than just me being there for Christmas. Because again, it's again, it's bigger than that. That's kind of where I would leave it. And I think that that's what most people can kind of take away from it. Even if you're hurting somebody, just know it's you that does not need to be hurt. Everybody else can be at some point, and it doesn't have to be bad blood. Like you said, there's still love in the end. It's just, hey, this doesn't work for me at the moment. And because it doesn't work for me, this is how I have to maneuver. And if they don't respect that, let that be an eye opener for you. For
Right.
sure. Because now if that
Absolutely.
person is kind of speculating and is just saying, hey, you're moving this way because of this, that person essentially wants you to do what they want you to do. And again, write your own script, write your own book. What's your movie going to be like? What are you going to share to somebody to let them know what your journey was like? Because yes, like Francis will say, that makes him unique. But I think it goes a little deeper than that. I think it
The
does
story
go a
does
little
make
deeper
you.
than
The
that.
story does make you unique.
Yes.
The story does make you unique. That
The
I will
story,
never
yes,
take that back because it's true. It is true.
Everyone has a story. Everyone does, without a doubt. And I'm not going to take that away from the entire conversation of, what makes you unique. But if you tell me your story makes you unique,
There's more to that. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
All right.
Just don't feed me the broad aspect of it. At
Right.
least me. I'm speaking from my aspect. If I'm
Right.
having a conversation with you, I ask you what makes you unique. Don't feed
Right.
me all my story, my experience. I'm looking for something specific. I really want to get to know you. Otherwise, I would just say, where you come from, what do you do? I would just ask those generalized questions, to be honest.
Right. Okay, I see. I have a question for you. How do you practice self-love? And I want you to kind of break it down to me on different level, emotionally, physically, and intellectually. How do you practice self-love on this front? Even
So I'll
spiritually, if you
start
want to
with
get into it.
Yeah, every day I wake up and I read the Bible. I spend a good 10 minutes or so before I even get out of bed, brush my teeth, all that stuff. Like I'm just reading the Bible. I'm kind of going through what I believe is my spiritual way of connecting with the higher power. Outside of that, I'll go on walks. So most of the time I'm working from home, so the house is quiet as is, which is great. If it wasn't quiet, I would go on a walk, and that's kind of how I give myself that that physical aspect of, pouring back into myself and love myself. Intellectually, I learn. I read books. I watch YouTube videos. My big one is, and I love doing this, is watching interviews, getting to know other people at the same time. And so those are my key ways of truly indeed pouring into myself more than anything. Then of course you can have your regular routine things of which is going out with friends, going out on vacations and stuff like that. But on a daily basis, that's kind of what I do to kind of show myself love and give myself that confidence of being able to tackle the day.
A lot of what you say is similar to what I will do, or still do to this day. I would add to it meditation, celebrating my achievement. And the way I do that is doing simple things like going on a hike, or even just going, playing basketball with a group of people, things and doing things that you love, really. It's a way of applauding your success and remembering how far you've gotten. Because the work is never finished, or the work will always continue. And if you continue to think of like what's next, you never get to really appreciate, some of the stuff that you've done.
So
go ahead.
I kind of have a rebuttal on that because I'm the opposite. I don't celebrate my small success as much as I probably should, and I understand that. And that's because I think my eyes is on the prize, the big goal, right? And just kind of working towards that. Like, I don't get me wrong, I understand what was done. I understand that certain people can't do that, and I completely get it. But I don't, like, for instance, if something was done, I would literally say, that's what was supposed to get done. Now let's keep going, right? And yeah, maybe a small, I'll go get a drink or something. I wouldn't do anything extravagant, which I don't think anybody here is going to do anything extravagant, but I keep it extremely small. And that's because I guess my eyes is on the prize. So my question to you then is, when you're celebrating those small wins, how does that make you feel?
It reassures me that I'm on the right path. It reassures me that you can get it done. You can move forward in whatever it is that you're doing. If it's getting, growing in my spiritual belief, if it's intellectually, reading the books that I read, if I'm getting a gem of knowledge that allows me to move forward, I see it as a success. It's kind of like going up a ladder. You don't really have to. You don't need to see the summit. As long as you know what you want that summit to be like, right? One step at a time. Every time we get to wake up, it's a blessing. So that
Uh-huh.
you're just celebrating the fact that I even woke up. So that's why I really gotten into this habit of gratitude. Every time that I get up, that's the first thing that I think, how can I be grateful for today? What is that one thing that I can do, that reminds me of being grateful to myself and to this gift that I have of life, right? So, because not a lot of people get to see the day. Tomorrow's not promised, right? So
Right.
that's why, you can have the million goals, you can have all that you plan for the future, but you don't necessarily know that you're going to make it to that future, right?
Yeah.
So how can you be present and actually accept, what's in front of you without being content, and that's in itself is knowing, really it gets down to knowing you and knowing who you are,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then some of the things that you're living for, right? And
Yeah.
it took some work to get there, like I was saying, there's a lot of times where you get to a point where like, yo, I thought I was doing this right, but something comes back and get in the way. But being consistent, and we talked about it a lot, even last season. So being consistent, it's a recurring work, but
Uh-huh.
it's work that needs to be done. I'm really getting to the point where I'm proud of myself and proud of the work that I'm doing. I'm aware of what's going on, and the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. You just got to keep on going.
So do you think outside of you celebrating, so like, do you think you could get the same feel out of life if you weren't celebrating everyone?
What do you mean?
So in terms of like, the small things that you celebrate or
Yeah,
whatever it is that you celebrate,
yeah.
if you were not celebrating them as often or celebrating them at all, do you
Uh-huh.
think you could maneuver and kind of still keep that sanity in mind? I guess that's what it
I don't
gives
think
you.
so. I think you will feel somewhat empty. You will feel somewhat empty that you're always chasing something, right? Imagine you're always chasing the same beast in the mirror, and you never get to get to that point, right?
Well,
So,
if you're chasing that same beast, that means you don't know what you're chasing to begin with.
right. I mean, that's a bad analogy, but yes. So if you don't know what you're chasing, then you may need to reevaluate who you are and kind of change your perspective on things. But what I'm trying to get to is, it's important. It is very important to celebrate your individual wins in order for you to move forward. I don't care who you are. I don't care how, what level, of life you're living. It could be something as simple as just having a meal on the table, right?
Yeah.
Having the ability to have water, right? Those are things that, like, I look back at my past, and there's a lot of things that reminds me that I wasn't supposed to be here in a way, right? It's a blessing to be able to be in this position, right? There's a lot of people that don't get to make it where I got, right? My journey in itself is it's it's something to think about and appreciate. So getting into that habit of consistently appreciating the steps that I'm taking. I don't care if I fail today or I fail tomorrow. I know that I still get the opportunity to try again tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Or the next day, right? I get the opportunity to try again the next day. And that in itself gives me the courage to get up in the morning and keep going at it. Yeah.
And so would you say that makes you unique? See what I
Bro.
did there? Yeah, come on now. What you see, right? Not everybody can do that.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Man,
saying.
if you guys did not listen to the last episode, you must listen to it right after this one, because now you'll understand why we are cracking up right
I
now.
get what you're saying.
But that's what's
All
going to
right.
do it for you. That's truly, in my opinion, that's what's going to do, is when you could do that deep dive. Like, I'm still to this day trying to figure out what really indeed overall makes me unique. I think I have an understanding of it,
Right.
but I'm just quite not sure yet. And it's still me just trying to find it. And again, even if me having a pulse of it, I'm still trying to find it. And that's what enables me to get to know myself a little bit better every single day. It's because I'm always trying to find I'm always trying to challenge myself every day. I'm always trying to find out what else can I learn about myself. And I'm also trying to find out where can I improve, right? I'm not trying to say everybody must improve us every single day. You must learn every single day, but at least, a 10% effort out your day it's gonna go very far over the long-term whole of it. So yeah, I mean, I think that question, what makes you unique, is a very important question that everyone should kind of take in consideration and ask themselves fairly often, because then you'll learn a little bit more about yourself. And the more that you can learn about yourself, the more that you can learn how to deal with everybody in this world, because no one can disturb what you know about yourself. No one can.
Yeah. And always remember that not everybody is going to be content with with your uniqueness. But it is your uniqueness that allows the world to move forward and be what it is. Your uniqueness is a blessing. I'm just going to leave it as that.
So with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Don't forget to, if you're not watching, if you didn't know already, if you're listening on the audio version, we actually are on YouTube now. You can look us up at Walk and Grow. We do have a visual for you guys. I know it's one of those things that people were seeking for a lot. So, we decided, what, let's go ahead and just give it to you guys. And we're going to be making these more interactive. So please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what's your favorite part. Let us know what you hate. Give us all the good stuff, the bad stuff. We're here for any sort of criticism. We're here to make it better for you guys as much as possible. If there's something of a topic that you guys are even looking for us to talk about, that's the best place. And you guys haven't been emailing us, so I'm assuming that you guys don't like to email. So if you want, go ahead and drop those comments there as well to let us know what topics you guys want from us. Or if you have a certain scenario, or you want us to go back and forth on something to kind of, pick our brains and see exactly how we would deal with something. But with that being said, guys, you guys enjoy yourselves. Don't forget, we are here every single Tuesday. And now where to find us on all social media platforms, everywhere now.
Yeah, that's right.